roles, UI developer and the backend developer? What are the roles and responsibilities you're having? Could you please close? Okay, what are the roles and responsibilities of a UI developer? What is a backend developer is going to do? What is a full stack developer is going to do? As we guys need to become the full stack developers, now we started even exploring the Node.js also here. Okay, that is the reason we have gone for that. Otherwise, we are already good. We are good in creating the web pages and all. Okay, the UI part. But in order to make the server or in order to create the APIs and to become a UI full stack developer, we are going with the Node.js server. And why only Node.js server? Why not other servers? We had a good discussion of that. Okay, so today let us even talk about the architecture of the Node.js, guys. There is a good picture to demonstrate the Node.js architecture. Where was that? Okay, so this is the architecture of your Node.js, guys. Under the orange box, whatever you could see, that is what your Node.js is. Okay, when you go into any of the server, this is how the Node.js architecture internally happens. So this guys, the left part is your users. When your client is actually sending, assume like this is your Amazon server. The orange box is a Node.js Amazon server. Now there are n number of users who are actually hitting the server. So he might be hitting one time, second user might be hitting one time, where the third user is hitting for third 3 requests, this guy is hitting for 4 requests. So when all these requests are actually going with the Node.js, how it is internally handling, let us have a look on that. And internally, your server is capable of either hitting to the database or the file system. We generally go with the server, so that server is capable of interacting with your database or the file system. That is the main reason we go with the servers, right? So your orange box is actually hitting the database or the file system. So internally, whatever it is happening within the orange box, this is what we call it as Node.js. So the very first thing is Node.js is a single threaded model. It is not a multi-threading model. It is a single threaded model. So what do you mean by the single threaded model? Whenever a request comes from me, for example, other than Node.js, when you go with other servers, so what generally happens is when a request comes, what other server will do is they create an individual thread and they assign the job to that thread. That thread is responsible for taking care of it and responding back to the user. Another request is coming, I create another thread, assign that guy is taking care. But now the number of threads what I'm creating is having a limit. Now I may say that the total number of threads what I can create inside a server is 100 threads. Now 100 requests are coming, I'm taking care of it. When the 101 request is coming, that is where the user request has to go into the waiting state or pooling state. Okay, when you go with the multi-threading model, this is what happens. When any number of requests are coming, for individual requests, they will be creating a single thread over here, and one thread will be taking care of, one dedicated thread will be taking care of user request and all. But whereas coming to the Node.js, it is not multi-threaded model, it is a single threaded model. Now you may have a question, boss, if it is a single threaded model, 100 thread itself, it is going into the waiting state when it is coming to the 101 request. Then in case of this, how come this guy is capable of handling n number of requests here? So in general, it is going to take the T1. T1 is a single threaded model. What it takes, whenever you put a request, it will be under the T1. The T1 is going to put the request into the event looping. There is something called as a IO request looping will be keep on running. That request will be kept under that looping. And one more thing is your Node.js strictly and purely works on the V8 JavaScript engine. What is this V8 JavaScript engine? It is one of the very popular JavaScript compiler or the engine which is being developed by the Google, which is being used inside your Chrome. You know that, I mean, have you ever observed that compare with your any browsers, which browser is more faster? Chrome is the one. You know why? Internally, it is using something called as V8 JavaScript Chrome engine. Node.js also uses the same JavaScript engine what Chrome guys or Google guys have developed it. Okay, so as it uses the V8 JavaScript engine in order to execute the JavaScript instruction, comparatively it is faster. Now what I'm saying here, any number of requests, whatever it is coming, there is a single thread which is internally executing within the V8. My responsibility in case of other servers, when I say thread 1 is there, one request has come, thread 1 has come, thread 1 responsibility to take care of execution. But in case of your Node.js, the single thread, whatever you have, my responsibility is not to execute the instructions. My responsibility is take the set of instruction, assign a callback. Now you put into the callback looping. That is the reason there is never a waiting state for the request inside your Node.js server. Okay, inside your Node.js architecture, there is never a concept of, okay, user request need to wait. No, it will be just under the event looping or callback mechanism it will be into. So it will be keep on rotating. Whenever the time comes, it gets executed internally. So it's not at all a multi-threaded model. It is a complete single-threaded model strictly follows. And Node.js is also called as a IO based mechanism or IO non-blocking IO server also we call it as. What do you mean by this non-blocking IO? There is never a blocking mechanism or a waiting mechanism inside the Node.js. And another thing is it is a IO based, IO event based. So what do you mean by this IO event based? Whenever a request come to the server, then only I will come into the picture and I execute the things. There is no concept of auto triggering concept in your Node.js. You know, when you go to your Apache server or JBoss server, you have some batch files, and that files, I want to say that, boss, there is a requirement that every day morning, your job has to automatically come into the picture and get out the list of all the, for example, I'm working with Amazon server. Under my Amazon server, every day morning, 5 o'clock, a job has to come into the picture. What that job has to do is, yesterday, how many sales have been done? How many returns have been done, how many pickups have been done, I want to automatically generate it. So this job, no one is coming and triggering in the sense you are firing on it. So, but if there is something like auto triggering has to happen, other servers are capable of. If your server requirement is saying that I want to implement some auto triggering jobs, Node.js is not at all a good solution for that. Node.js is a IO based or event mechanism based. You put a request to me, then I come into the picture. There is no concept like I automatically come into the picture at a particular time, you get executed. I can't do such type of things in your Node.js. So this is one of the limitation, guys. When people ask you about the advantages of the Node.js, they may also ask you that what you couldn't able to do. What is the limitation of your Node.js? The main limitation under your Node.js server is we couldn't able to make the auto triggering jobs inside your Node.js. Are we clear? Yes. Okay. And one more thing, guys. Yesterday, I said you guys. Yesterday, I said you guys that I'll be taking a, what do you say, backup class or revision session or like doubt session, right? Actually, unfortunately, it got cancelled. The reason is like I need to take care of. Guys are happy? Okay, so actually there is some other batch I need to take care of and today and tomorrow. Even for tomorrow also, I thought like I'll be extending the class of 2-hour class, but there will be a normal class. And today also I'll be leaving a bit early, like by 20 minutes or 50 minutes early, as I need to engage another batch till 11 o'clock. Okay, so I will see like any other day if I get some time, I will take the doubt session over there. Okay, and if you really say that no boss, we have lots of doubts, we need to clarify that, then in that case, I can dedicate one of the class only for the doubt session also. It's all depends your requirement, not need, right? Okay, so this is how internally your Node.js is going to work. I'm going to work on the event looping. There is never a concept of things are getting into the waiting state. It will be always into the callbacking or event looping mechanism. The jobs will be going, and I will be always a non-blocking IO mechanism. And internally, Node.js is going to use Libio and POSIX async threads. So these two are the external libraries what Node.js internally using it. Okay, internally Node.js is depending on Libio and the POSIX async thread. I mean, internally it is going to create its own thread that is not being created by the Node.js. So POSIX is one of the external API which is being used by the Node.js, which is taking care of whatever the callback mechanism I have, I will be creating in the form of a thread and all. But anyway, for Node.js, I'm not at all bothered. I'm simply depending upon the POSIX and Libio external APIs in order to take care of or in order to handle the multiple user requests. Okay. So any questions on this architecture? Okay, main things you need to see is Node.js is an open source and platform independent. We already know what I mean by open source. We don't need to pay for that. We can just download it and we can start making use of it. What is platform independent? It is never depending on any of the specific operating system. It can run on any of the operating system. And the third selling point what you have is Node.js internally uses JavaScript as a programming language. You don't need to learn, being a UI developer, you don't need to learn new technologies or new programming languages there. We can make use of the existing JavaScript itself. And the fourth selling point is Node.js is faster in executing the instructions. Why so? I'm not using any external programming language. I'm using the JavaScript. And in order to execute the JavaScript instructions, I'm using the Chrome V8 JavaScript engine. So the things are executing more faster. And the other thing what you have is Node.js is a single threaded model. I'm not going to use multi-threadings or multiple threads in order to execute multiple requests. I'll be working with only single threaded model. Under that, I have a event looping mechanism. Under that, every request will go into the loop. They never go into the waiting state. And Node.js is a non-blocking IO mechanism. It strictly follows. What do you mean by non-blocking? There is never a case that people will go to the waiting state. But at the same time, it cannot execute the things automatically triggering. It's all IO based. Implies I get an input, then I throw you the output. There is nothing like automatically coming into the picture. And internally, Node.js uses Libio and POSIX async threads, external libraries in order to handle the things internally. Okay, and as like your other web servers, Node.js is capable of interacting with the database, interacting with the file system, anything it is possible to do. Okay, this is about the Node.js. Now let us talk something about NPM, full form Node Package Manager. So what is the use of this NPM? Whenever you install the Node.js, along with the Node.js, you will be automatically installed with the NPM, guys. Now, if you see, when I go with the command prompt, whenever you say Node, how do I check the installation of Node.js? I say Node --- version. It specifies which version you have installed. But along with this, if I say NPM, okay, now if I click on it, you should be able to see the version of the NPM also. Once you install the Node.js, along with the Node.js, corresponding NPM also gets installed. It is not a manual installation, automatic installation along with the Node.js. Now, what do I mean by this Node Package Manager? Node Package Manager is responsible for managing the packages or modules what your Node.js is depending on. Okay, as the name itself specifies, NPM is responsible for managing the packages or the modules what your Node.js is depending on. Now, we might be knowing, what do you mean by library? What do you mean by library in your JavaScript? A external piece of code which is capable of performing one individual job. You inject that library, get the job done more faster. Agree? That is what your library is. In your JavaScript, we call it as library. In your C language or your C++, what we call it as the predefined things. Header files. There is something called as header files, conio.h, stdio.h, mad.h. What we used to do, we used to say something called as hash include something called as stdio.h. Okay, like this conio.h external header files you'll be adding. In case of your JavaScript, we call it as library. And how you're including the library? We say script file, script tag, src is equal to so and so, like this. This is what we do in case of your JavaScript. For example, if it is Java, what we call it as external things. People who are expertise in Java, what we call it as, first of all, what we call them as, come on, packages. Okay, we call them as packages. Okay, and how do we include the packages? We say something called as import io dot asterisk. We say import util dot asterisk. Like this, we could able to import the things in your Java packages. Okay, the same way we go with .NET also. In the same way, now what we call it things inside your Node.js. Okay, the predefined things, what we call it as, we call them as modules. Okay, we call them as node modules or simply modules. We don't call them as a libraries, we don't call them as packages, but we call them as a modules. Any language you go, guys, you go for Python, you go for Java, you go for JavaScript, you go for C# or .NET or any other technology you go, every technology will give you some predefined libraries for you, predefined things for you. Use them and get the job done more faster. When I go with the C language, it is giving me some predefined header files where, like, if I say I want to use the printf method and scanf method, those are coming from the stdio.h, cout and cin method, conio.h. In the same way, in your Java, I will say something called the system.out.println, which is coming from io.asterisk. So when you go with any particular programming language, they have some predefined libraries or header files or packages or module. Naming might be different, but the meaning is same. I'm giving some predefined thing to you. You just make use of it. Okay. In the same way, Node.js comes with some predefined node modules, which is having some predefined stuff. Use that and get the job done more faster. As I said, you not only the predefined node modules, we ourselves also can create our own node modules. Okay, that I have shown you yesterday, right? When you go with npm.js, he is exploring the list of all the predefined packages. I think someone was asking yesterday, boss, is it possible that I can create my own package? Yes, boss. As like other people have done, you can also create your own packages. You can release them and you can make use of it. And anyone can make use of it. They will simply review that whether your package is really useful or not. Is it is not disturbing the existing code. They will review that. Once they approve it, it will be pushed into the npm.js guy, and anyone can start making use of those. Okay, so that is how in your Node.js we call the predefined things as node modules. Now, in order to manage this node modules, we will be going with npm, Node Package Manager. So what do you mean by managing these node modules? If you want to install a new node module, if you want to update an existing node module, if you want to delete an existing node module, in order to manage these things, we will be going with npm. Anytime I want to install, I say npm install node module name. I'm not saying node there. Okay. So that is what your npm is. As I already said you, npm is one of the biggest code repository in the universe, guys. npm.js. Earlier it was github.com, but npm.js is the first guy who is holding the biggest code repository, because millions and trillions of node modules are available. Okay, because like when the support is from universe, it is not like one organization who is releasing the code here. One organization who is releasing the node modules. No, I can also create a node module. I can delete it. Yesterday I have shown you, right? Say, for example, my expectation is I want to implement some mathematical operations here. Now, when I say math, there is something called as math.js external node module, which is available. So when I go for this, this is the one who is created by this external person. Who is this? Josh De Jong. Okay, he is the one. When he has recently published this 2 months ago. And you see here, latest download, weekly downloads, 479,000 people are downloading it. So that is how you see the popularity of this package. So like this, anyone can create the package, download it, publish it. People can start making use of it. As people are started submitting too much of node modules inside this, it has become the topmost and highest code repository code he is going to hold. Okay. Now, that is again one of the plus point for us. The support what we are getting is not from only single organization or a single team. Universe is supporting. Okay, you want to use some encryption part. I search here. Who is the one who has created the encryption part? See the best one. Start making use in your projects. Clear, everyone? Okay. Now, now you understood this Node.js and now you go with this NPM. Now, let us understand what do you mean by Node.js platform. Okay, lot of people call this Node.js as a server. In actually, Node.js is not a server, guys. When I'm installing the Node.js, doesn't mean that I have installed the Node.js server. When I install the Node.js, indicating that you have set up a platform under which you can create your server. When you go with your Tomcat, Apache, JBoss, WebLogic things and all, once you install the WebLogic into your machine, that is equal to you install the WebLogic server. When I install the JBoss, when I install the Apache Tomcat, I mean, those all servers you are installing. But when I say installing the Node.js, doesn't mean that you are installing the Node.js server. Then what do you mean by that? Node.js installation is equal to setting up the Node platform. On the top, you create your own server. Okay, Node.js setup is equal to you are setting a platform. Under that, you create your own custom server. Then you may ask me a question, boss, it is better to go with the other servers, right? Because the other servers, I don't need to do anything. When I install server is ready, start working on it. But inside your Node.js, you need to write a piece of code to create a server. Everything manually, you need to say http.create server, http.listen, everything you need to do manually. Then you may ask this question, why you need to do this? Isn't it? But this is the advantage part. Let us take a practical example. Assume I'm going to a restaurant. Assume we are going to a restaurant. Now, what is the advantage we have with your restaurants? What is the advantage we have with your restaurant? For example, if I'm ordering some food, for example, I said like something I have ordered. Okay, some biryani I have ordered. Do I really need to know the process or the steps? How do we prepare it? Do I really need to carry any ingredients over there? No. Do I need to carry any raw materials, anything? No. I simply say that I want this. They are going to get it on your table there. Now you have it and you get out of it. This is the advantage I have. I don't need to know the steps, how they are preparing. I simply order it and get the job done. What is the disadvantage? Don't say bill is a disadvantage. So what is the disadvantage in your restaurants? Can I order anything what I wanted? Can I order anything what I wanted? No. My requirements are limited to the menu. Whatever the menu they have given, that is what I got limited to. Implies they are providing some services. They cannot customize the service what I wanted there. Okay, I cannot order whatever I wanted. I need to limit myself only to the particular menu. Then I order and I get it. This is what happens with your other servers. Other servers are almost like your restaurants. They are providing some services. Advantage is you get it, get the job done. But whereas in your Node.js, what is Node.js here? Node.js is equal to not a restaurant. I'm not giving anything predefined things for you. Then what I'm providing for you, I'm providing a very big platform. Assume I'm providing a big kitchen for you with all the raw materials, with all the chef or instructions, whatever need to done. Now, if I provide you a kitchen with every ingredient, anything, whatever you wanted, if I provide you, can you create your own thing in the custom way you wanted? Yes, it is. This is what the advantage you have to your Node.js. That is the reason Node.js is equal to I'm giving you a kitchen, a platform. On the top, you create your own things the way you wanted. And for all the creation, whatever the features, node modules you wanted, I'm going to provide to you. This is what the difference between the other servers and your Node.js. So that is the reason when I say Node.js installation not equal to a server. Node.js installation is equal to I have set up one platform in my system. On the top, I'm going to create my own server. Are we clear? Now I have just set up the Node platform. Now, how do I create a server? We are going to have a look. Now, on the top, can you guys tell me why the reason we go to the server? What are the two main reasons we go to the server? If you remember, we discussed on the very initial stage when I was working with installation of the Node.js. I said this. What are the two specific reasons we go to the server? To connect to the database, that is server capability. Next. Hit and get the response. Next. Two major jobs a server only can do. Come on. Come on, guys. Every server is capable of holding the resources. Yes or no? Holding the resources. I can keep the resources in my system so that anyone can hit me and I can throw the resources. Why the reason I'm putting the files under this public folder, guys? Under your server, why I'm keeping the things into a public folder? Do you think all these things are getting executed by the server? No, those are being held by the server so that anyone who is connected to my system through the network, they could able to access it. That is the first requirement of a server. Yes or no? Yes. Now the second job of a server is providing web services. Remember at the time of Ajax call, I was talking about this. Inside a server, multiple jobs are running. Every individual job is being identified with a single unique URL. Yes or no? Yes, right? Every unique URL is responsible for pointing out to one individual job. And number of jobs can get executed in the server independently. Anyone want the one job to get executed? I hit it, that guy will come into the picture. That day we have even created web services under this route folder also. One get product details. Like this, I can create any number of web services. We already seen this. Yes. So any server you go, the two main individual job of a server is, one is I can hold the resources inside me. And the second thing is I am running some multiple services here so that you can hit that service and you can get the data back. Clear? Everyone? Nice. Now I am installing the Node.js server in order to do these two steps here. Now, how do you create a server inside your Node.js? Let's have a look on this. I have a platform of the Node.js, isn't it? I have the server platform, Node.js platform I have created. Now I start creating the server. Anyone having idea of Tomcat server, Apache? You have an idea? Anyone else? Two. Anyone else? In order to create the Tomcat Apache server, do you need to write any instructions? We only write the web services inside it, but for creating the server, you never write any instructions. In order to make the server to the listen to the port number also, I think under the POM XML, you just mention the port number, it start listening to this. Whereas coming to the Node.js, if I have to run the server, I need to start writing with each and every server in each and every instruction. Okay, let us see what are the simple steps you need to write, or you need to write the instructions which are used to create a simple server. And I already said you guys yesterday, when I was drawing the picture yesterday, I said you that there will be some left block and the right block. On the left side, UI technologies is coming. On the right side, there is server side. UI technologies always gets executed under UI code always gets executed under client side. What do you mean by client? What do you mean by client? Browser, isn't it? Your browser is your client, right? Under the browser, things are getting executed. Obviously, that is what your client code is. Now, if it has to get executed under the server, what does that mean? Obviously, under the Node platform in our case. If it is a different server, .NET or Java or your Apache or anything else, they have their own platform. Now, in order to execute the things from your Node.js, I already said you yesterday, keep your mind different, guys. Till now, we are only falling under the client side. We are executing everything on the browser. But now we are moving into the server side. Now we have to execute the things on the server environment, not on the browser environment. Okay. Now, how you're going to start a server? First of all, I say under public, under June, I say my first server.js. Why I'm using JS inside my Node.js? Node.js can only understand JavaScript as a programming language. For sure, it has to be .js. Now, I created a simple JS file, guys. Now, how you're going to create a server? As I said you, in your C language, how you're including the header files? You say hash include stdio.h. Okay, in your C language. If it is Java, I say import io.asterisk. Okay, if it is JavaScript or in your web pages, in your HTML file, what should I say? I say script tag src is equal to say some abc.js, something like this. This is what we do. Whereas coming to your Node.js, we will be using the predefined keyword, something called as require. Require is one of the predefined method for which you need to specify what is the module you want to install. Are we clear? Require is one of the predefined module using which predefined method using which you can include any of the node module inside your Node.js. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I say where HTTP is equal to require HTTP node module. HTTP is one of the predefined node module, and I'm going to create a instance of that. HTTP is one of the predefined node module using which you can create a HTTP based server. Obviously, you can create two types of server, HTTP servers or HTTPS server. HTTP is a secured server which needs a key, JKS file, lot of security things needed. Right now, I'm not going for that. I'm simply going with the HTTP server. Once you create this HTTP server, you need to say where server is equal to HTTP dot create server, one of the predefined method. And now after creating the server, you need to make the server to listen to a particular port number. I say server dot listen 8081. These are the three simple steps you need to do to create any Node.js server. In the universe, anyone creating a HTTP node server, these steps he has to follow, guys. Okay, first step is include a node module called as HTTP using the require method. On the HTTP method, you need to use a method called as create server method. And now you make the server to listen to a particular port number like 8081. Are we clear up to this? Everyone? Okay. Now, when I say create server, this guy takes a callback method. And every callback method comes with some request object and response object. What do you mean by this request object? Whenever client guy is putting a request for you, every other information of the client guy will be under the request object. When I want to respond back to the user, I will be using this response object. Based on that, I'm going to respond back to the user. Okay. Create server is one of the predefined method under HTTP. This guy takes a callback method. Under the callback method, there are two predefined objects. One is request object and response object. Request object contains every other extra information regarding the request being created. Response contains every other predefined data using which you can respond back to the user. Are we clear? Okay, now under this, now I'm going to put a message saying that response, when I'm going to respond back to the user, I say response dot end is one of the predefined method, and I put a message, something called as hello, I'm from your server. That's it. This is the simple steps I have created, guys, including HTTP module, creating a server with a callback method, making the server to listen to a particular port number. For sure, every server need to listen to a port number. Only from the port number, you could able to access any resources from the server. Clear, everyone? Done? Okay. Now, if you save this guy, this is a JavaScript file. You tell me where I need to execute. Can I execute this in my browser? It is a .js file. Can I execute this in my browser? Obviously, no. Why the reason? This is not a client-side code, boss. Does your browser understand what do you mean by require method? What do you mean by create server method? It is not a client-side code. It is a server-side code. Now, where I need to execute? I need to execute this inside my server environment. So, what is your server environment? I go to this guy. I go to public folder under June folder. I say CMD. Now, this is my server environment. How do I run my server? I say NODE. Node is the predefined command using which you can execute the things under the node server. Node space, what is your server name? My first server.js. Now, if you click on enter, now my server started listening to this. But now, do you get any information that my server is listening? No. So why don't you put some extra message here? That is where after listen, you put one callback method. I say console.log, say something called as hello. Now, if I close my server, if I have to close my server, Control C. Okay, now when I say node my first server, is it not saying hello? Boss, instead of saying some hello, why don't you put some valid message saying that server is listening at 8081? That will be helpful message, right? So I can say this is server is listening at 8081. Now, if you come back here, I say node so and so. Now you got a message saying that server is listening at 8081. Okay. So this is a callback method which will be automatically invoked once the server start listening at 8081. Okay. See here, am I executing things in the browser or within the server side? Server has executed this guy. Now, how do I test whether my server is working or not? I say localhost 8081, click on enter. This is the message what your server is throwing, boss? This is how simple you can create your own custom server inside your Node.js. Are we clear? Everyone, online students, any question? Do let me know, guys. This is very, very, very important. Let me know. Just go through each and every line of code and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, Iris, boss, we can also use VS Code terminal to start the server. Obviously, yes. Not only for starting of the server, anything you can say. For example, view terminal. Okay, obviously this is one of the integrated command prompt which is coming along with the VS Code. Now, if you see, I'm under C drive US so and so, or else I can say E drive. I'm into CD. What is the folder name? CD UI classes. Is it not under? Oh, it is F drive, right? You can even do this. But right now it is throwing me an error. Why so? Boss, 8081, someone else is already listening it. Now you can get out of this guy. Now you can execute this guy. NPM start, server is listening. You can do that, but I recommend keep a separate command prompt, boss. You're already using the VS Code editor for editing the things. Why you want to add some more burden on the top of it? That is the reason. I mean, in general, I follow this, but it's up to you. Any more questions? Can you explain why in line 9 you put 8081 as the port number? Sanjana, anytime you are running the server. Okay, why the reason we are creating the server, boss? We know that any resources which is running in the server that can be pointed by any guy in this. You can assume that port number is equal to a gate. Assume like any room you go, obviously there is a gate through which you're going to pass. It is the gate through which you're going to get an access of it. So it is through the port number you're going to get the access of the server resources. So anytime you're running a server, you cannot say that one server is running in my machine because there could be hundreds of servers can listen on this. Then how can I get to know what is the difference between, or how can I get the differences between individual server? Port number. So port number should be unique. Under one port number, multiple servers cannot run. So that is the reason I'm saying that my server has to listen at 8081. Hope I'm clear with your question. Sunil, can you share today's class here? Okay, I'll do that. That means any port number we can create? Obviously, yes, Shanu. You can create any of the server. I can say something called as some 5051. Okay, so this guy will become 5052. Okay, this guy will become 5052. Now I come back here. I say npm start, server is listening at 5052. Now you need to say this guy will be, it is 5052. That's it. You can specify any of the port number. Only thing is, same port number should not be shared across multiple servers. Am I clear? Any more questions? Come on, guys. Sanjana, is it recommended to run the server from the VS Code terminal or the console? As I said, it doesn't make any difference, Sanjana. Either you're running from the VS Code or from the terminal, doesn't make any difference for me. Only simple thing what we have is, for you, it will be very hard to maintain. Under the same window, I have a terminal. If you see, I have this much of code for editing now. Now, if I say terminal here, you have this part also here. This part is also over here. I know that you can minimize this, but why the reason you really want to do this? Okay, I'm simply removing this. I go with a special command prompt, individual, because command prompt dedicatedly working for only running the things. VS Code dedicatedly working for editing the things. So it's up to you. Either you can go for this or this. Doesn't make any difference. In our real time, at least for myself, I follow individual command prompt instead of combining things into one. Any more questions? Look into the code and let me know. Can I go forward? Everyone online. What does that mute indicates? Don't go forward or don't say anything. Online, am I audible? Okay. Now, coming back to the next step. When I'm responding back to the server, we can even specify what type of content we are responding. Okay. When the user is hitting the server, now from the browser, he is hitting the server. Obviously, server guy is responding back with, boss, I am so and so message. Now, he might respond back with a string. He might respond back with a HTML code. He might respond back with a JSON object. It could be anything, right? It could be anything. Then how I'm going to manage this guy? I can simply say response dot content type. Okay, 1 second. Is it is response type? I say npm JS. I say HTTP. Where is my HTTP server? Or else I can even go with the Node.js documentation itself. Nodejs.com. Documentation. See, the latest version is Node.js 20. How do I create a server? HTTP. Right header. Response dot right head is the predefined method, which is going to take an object. And under that, there is something called as content type. For example, I'm saying it as a plain text and I'm responding back to the user with a bold tag. I say bold. And one more thing is, anytime you do any changes on the server side, for sure it has to be recompiled. Okay, how do we recompile it? Just stop it and restart your server, which is equal to recompiling it. Now, when I come back, and another thing, for example, if you have any errors here, I say I'm missing this guy, then who is going to throw the error? Your compilation itself is going to throw your error within the command prompt or within the server environment. Nothing to do with the client side or the browser. Okay, it says that, boss, here you have an issue. Come back and fix that guy. Save it. Node so-and-so, server is listening at 5052. Now I say localhost 5052, click on enter. Nothing is coming. Why so? There is some error. It says that server is so-and-so, HTTP server, invalid status code. Obviously, I need to mention the status code also here. Status code 200, comma, so-and-so. I will tell you what I mean by status code. You see server is running at 81, 50, 52. Click on enter. You see, is my bold tag content is coming in bold format or it is treating it as a normal text? It is treating it as a normal text. Why so? When I'm responding back to the user, I said that I'm going to respond some text which is of text format. But what if I say HTML, so that your browser will understand automatically whatever the data I'm coming from the server, is it is a text or a HTML format. If it is a HTML, you see here, I say so-and-so. When I'm reloading the page, it is treating it as a HTML. Okay, so write head is one of the predefined method using which you're going to tell two things to the client guy. What is that? One is the status code, and second thing is the type of content what you are responding back to the system. Okay, what do you mean by this status code? Whenever I'm interacting with the server, there are lots of status codes, guys. Let me show you. You'd know that 404. What do you mean by 404? Server not available or server is down. If I say something called as 400 to 499, it is all the issues from the client side. I mean, the server is not available. When I say 500 plus 500 to 599, it is all the server side issues. If it is between 200 to 299, that is all successful communication. So let us say status codes. So when I say status codes, this is the list of all the status codes you have. You see, anything between 100 to 199, informational responses. Anything between 200 to 299, successful responses. 300 to 399, redirectional message. 400 to 499, client error. 500 to 599 is server error. Now, if you see under that, now if you ask me a question, boss, do I need to know each and every code? 100, 101, 102, 103 and all? Not needed. Top 5 will be more than enough. Say, for example, if it is 100, continue. 101, switching the protocols. 102, processing the data. 103, early hints. In the same way, successful. 200 is okay. 201 is created. 202 is accepted. 203 is not authorized or not authoritative information, etc. In the same way, 300, multiple choices. 301, moved so-and-so, etc. 400, bad request. 401, unauthorized. 402, payment gateway. Payment required. So like this, these all are like individual status codes here. Now, when I'm responding back to the user, if I say that I got a good communication from the something happened successfully in the background, I will say 200. Now, if I say that 404, that is indicating that I'm responding back to the user saying that this is the error what I got. So when I'm responding back with the user to the user, I go with the status code along with the content type what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is the minimum step what we need to go in order to create a simple Node.js server. Are we clear? Everyone? Okay, so let us pause it for today, guys. Everybody does the enough practice on this guy. Tomorrow, I'm going to expand much on how do you interact with the files. Till now, we have never worked with opening the file and all. Okay, how do we write the content into the file and all? Because client side never ever possible. Now let us see how Node.js could able to use. How Node.js we can use it in order to interact with the file system. We'll check it tomorrow. Okay, have a good day. Bye for today.